Welcome back to another inspiring episode of Discovering Your Mission with Dr. Mordecai. Today, I have the honor of sitting down with a transformative leader and visionary in higher education, Dr. Anthony Cruz, the 11th president of Milwaukee Area Technical College. With nearly 3 decades of experience and a lifelong mission to change lives through education, Dr. Cruz is building a culture rooted in equity, care, and community impact. In this conversation, we discuss his journey as a first-generation college student, his approach to leading with authenticity, and his bold vision to advance economic mobility in the Milwaukee region. Learners, leaders, and dreamers, you're in for something special. Stay tuned. All right, greetings everyone. It's Dr. Mordecai. Once again, I have someone with me on today that I've been studying for a number of years myself. I consider him a friend. He's someone who I've admired his leadership, and I'm so honored to be able to get him on the podcast. Dr. Anthony Cruz, president of Milwaukee Area Technical College. Thank you for being with us, sir.
Thank you, Mordecai. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you for the opportunity.
Friend. Yes, man. Well, I'll tell you, you have an amazing social media presence. You continue to not only elevate the work of your institution, but certainly are an encourager. And you also, like myself, continue to put out there the significance and importance of your family. So there's so many questions I want to ask you. We've got a short amount of time. We'll just kind of see how things go today. Let's start here. Talk to us about when you knew it was time to become a college president. Where did that seed grow? How did it grow? Where did it come from? Because you're doing amazing work.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I think it happened several years ago, about 15 years ago. I had become an associate dean and at a college, at Broward College, and was doing my doctoral work. And really thought about myself as saying, okay, I need to get this doctorate. I know I need it in order to advance. I'm currently an associate dean. Maybe I'll be a dean, maybe one day a vice president. And as I got further along in my doctoral program and finished up, that wasn't finishing up, but got along in that program, I started thinking, you know what? Maybe I should consider being a college president. That's something that could happen. I became a dean. We had to move, to Cincinnati to become a dean. And then from there, it kind of solidified in my head that was something that I could do. I knew that I needed to take several steps in order to get there, but felt that that was something that I really wanted to do. And mainly because I thought that it would be where I could have the most influence over the student experience, over student success, and really make a meaningful impact in the community and wherever the institution where I would be as a president. So that was something that kind of came into being during that period of time where I was associate dean and getting that and starting out my doctoral studies.
Awesome. Now, if I recall correctly, you're also a first-generation college student.
Yes.
How has that also informed how you approach the college presidency?
Yes. Well, I think it's informed my entire career, right, in higher education from the get-go. And I think that I just draw back to my experiences as a freshman in college. I went to Florida International University as a freshman, and I remember going through orientation. And I went to orientation by myself. A lot of students did as well, but then there were many students there that had parents there with them, right? And I figured maybe these parents, they already know how to know the system, right? How to navigate the system, and that's why those parents were there to help out. And while my parents didn't have that experience and able to help me in that way, it kind of informed me and kind of built inside of me that when later on as I started working in higher education, that I said to myself, I look back on that experience and said, I don't want other students to feel that way. I want them to feel that when they get to college, they feel that they belong there, that they feel that we can put support systems into place that will help them navigate the system, make it easier for them to really enjoy the experience of being a college student. And I did enjoy my experience as a college student, but as a first-generation college student, I had to navigate, financial aid for the first time, and and how do you fill out the FAFSA, and How do you, get the aid that you need in order to afford college? My parents really couldn't help me out with that either. So that was very important to me. The Pell Grant and getting other types of assistance were critical. And so this always is in the back of my head, right? I can't not be a first, I will always be a first generation college student. And that really helps me build, or building new programs or looking at an initiative. I always keep that in mind. And sometimes it's about being a first generation college student. Sometimes it's just being a student that may feel like they just don't fit in, right? And so how do we build the support systems in place for students to feel that they are welcomed, they are engaged, and they have a sense of belonging when they come to the institution?
Now, you've been able to do this work in different parts of the country. I mean, your first presidency was a campus president in Miami, Florida. I should really say the Miami-Dade. You really got started there, and now you're in Milwaukee. What was it? So there's two questions I really want to ask, and I'll start with this one. What was it about Milwaukee that made you say, I've done some great work advancing the student experience in Florida, but now I really see myself in Milwaukee? Why is that?
Well, first of all, I thought it was time for me to move on to being a president of a college and report to a board. That was always my goal, my professional goal, and felt that after 5 years at Miami-Dade College, which was a great experience and worked with such great people there, that I felt like I was ready. I was ready to take that next step. And, it's a little scary at times because, it's a different, even though you're president and I was a president of the largest campus of Miami-Dade College, it just, you're reporting to, I was reporting to the college president, which is, you have a boss, right? But when you have 9 bosses or 7 bosses as a board, it can be a little intimidating. So, but I said to myself, look, Tony, you've always wanted this. You have to take the leap, the leap of faith in knowing that you think you're ready, right? So go ahead and try. I thought that MATC, as we call it here, really was a good fit. When I was approached by the search firm for this position, at the beginning I said, Milwaukee? Never been to Milwaukee, first of all. Had lived in the Midwest. I worked in Cincinnati and Dayton, Ohio also, and in St. Louis, and I was born in Chicago. So it's like the Midwest, I understand it. I felt comfortable. Both of my grown children live in the Midwest, so that really made it another added benefit to coming up here. But there was a few things that that interested me about MATC. Number one was the diversity of students and faculty and staff. And I came from a very diverse area in Miami, but again, MATC, very diverse, and also working towards being a Hispanic serving institution. When I came on board a year ago, we're at 21%. Last year, we were at 23%. And now I think this year we may be able to get to that 25%. And, being Hispanic myself and knowing and working at some of the largest Hispanic serving institutions in the country, I felt that was a good opportunity for me to come to a new institution, bring some ideas, and see how we get to that status. But in addition to that, I just really like the idea of working in a multi-campus system. And so our district is made of 4 campuses and 1 center. And the great thing about working in such a system is that you have such variety and feel for each of the campuses. Each campus located in different parts of, we serve 3 counties, different parts of those 3 counties, really gives you a great feel for the community, right? And every single campus has its own identity and feel. So really liked that opportunity as well. I thought, based on my previous experience at Cincinnati State Technical and Community College, that was a technical college as well, coming into a technical college, had some, was very familiar with the programming and things like that would be offered here. So I thought it was just a really good fit overall. And the sizes of the institution is comparable to the campus where I came from at Kendall. And so the size was, I think, ideal. The service area that we served was ideal, and just the fact that there was so much diversity that I also thought it was an ideal place to come to.
Anthony, the heart of this project, Discovering Your Mission, is really with a tone of mentorship, a desire to really want to share information and wisdom with others that perhaps see themselves in these presidency roles. But I've also had other guests, just most recently, one talked about their cancer journey. And so it's interesting to see how, from my viewership, how they take on this information. And there's so many questions that I'm sure that they want to ask. So I just kind of want to ask a question for them. If anyone is watching this right now and they themselves are working in a community college system where they're reporting to a chancellor, a president, and they made the jump, want to make the jump towards reporting to a board, were there
Yeah.
things that you did to prepare yourself to report to a board that perhaps you could share from a wisdom standpoint?
Well, I think I did it inadvertently. I think I was very fortunate to serve under several presidents. Either, I've been a vice president, I've been a vice chancellor, and then as a campus president. And one thing I've done through those experiences is really learn from those individuals who are either presidents or chancellors and their interactions with the board, and kind of listen very intently. And I had a lot of great experiences also while I wasn't reporting to the board, interactions with board members, whether I was doing a presentation to the board, whether it be in front of in a board meeting or behind closed doors, or having other types of interactions with those board members, and really listening to a lot of advice that came from those presidents and the chancellor that I served under, to understand what that is like, right? What the expectations are, and probably one of the things that first made me think about this and start thinking about the importance of listening and really paying attention to those interactions between, let's say, a president and a board, was when I was at one college, and the chief of staff there, which is still a good friend of mine to this day, kind of gave me a rundown of like what the expectations were from the president, but also talked a lot about that board, right? And what the board expectations are, and what the board expects from the president. While I wasn't a president, that really helped me kind of understand the landscape of what it's like to work with a board. And it's still, even with all that, and with having several experiences at large institutions, when I walked in here a year ago, because it's actually a year now, yesterday, it was a year that I've been here, I was a little intimidated. I didn't know what to expect. And I think the board itself also didn't know what to expect, because it's the first time that I was reporting to a board as well. So it's a two-way street, right? They kind of were feeling like, hey, can this guy handle this, right? Can he communicate with us effectively? Can he really share what he needs to be sharing with us? Does he share the mission of the college? Well, I was thinking, can I do all those things? I was thinking the same thing. But in the last year, I've created a very strong relationship with each of our 9 board members, and communication is key. That's one thing I learned early on with other presidents and the chancellor I reported to, is that communication piece is so important. Not to blindside a board. Make sure that you're always communicating what you need to communicate. Having those one-on-one meetings with each board member to get to understand them, understand who they are as individuals, as people, but as well as their vision for the college is also extremely important. So those are things that, and this happened over the course of years, right? So we're talking about probably in a course of 10 years that I was paying a lot of attention, listening, and trying to understand what that dynamic is between a president and a board.
Now that you've been president for 1 year, many more to go, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What would you say is your vision for MATC now moving forward?
Well, I think that one of the things that we continue to work on this. I think it's nothing new, but I'm going to make it an emphasis for the next 5 years. So we just rolled out our new strategic plan. And that plan has, there's going to be some goals that I'm going to have on a yearly basis that are going to be shared with the administration and others here at the college. But I'm looking at some bold targets, what I'm talking about, when we're talking about in 5 years. And one of them is to take us back or bring us to the point where we were several years ago when it comes to enrollment right at the college. So that's one. And I think all of us are, concerned about enrollment and want to increase our enrollment at our colleges. But the second one, which I think is really the key one for me, is how do we increase economic mobility for our students? We can increase graduation rates, we can increase student success rates in courses and retention rates from fall to fall. And all those things are very important, right? Because you don't get to graduate and you can't get to economic mobility without those things. But it's also about being very intentional about how do we increase economic mobility to the point that we are making a major impact on ending a multi-generational poverty in the Milwaukee area. And that is really my goal, is to work with our administration, with our board, with our faculty, with our staff, to see how we can position MATC in a way that, we've been doing this work for 100 years, but we want to continue to do this, but be much more intentional about how we get students to those jobs ultimately, right? Whether they transfer to a university, a college or university for the 4 years and finish, or they finish one of our 1 year or 2 year programs, that they will get those family sustaining jobs at the end, and that we will have more higher wages for those students that are graduating. Just recently, the Carnegie classification system came out for 2 year colleges. I don't know if you saw that, but and one of the things is student earnings, right? And that's why I want to focus on student earnings and economic mobility as being really the focus for the next 5 years. And that means that we have to do a lot of work, right, to lead up to that. That means looking at our academic programs, which programs, I know you've done this already at your institution while you've been there. And so looking at academic programs, the viability of those programs, which programs are really leading to those family sustaining wage jobs. And then also and bolstering our retention rates, right, and student success rates, and making sure that we continue a good pipeline of new students through marketing and recruitment and everything else. I mean, we're all doing all these things, but at the end, I think this is the result that I would like to see us have a bigger impact in our community, is by increasing economic mobility for all our residents here in the Milwaukee area.
And there's no doubt in my mind that with your leadership, the institution will get there, the mission will be advanced. Part of your mission advancement and your work, your efforts, is really having a digital presence. And I'm just curious if you could share with this audience, how did you become so digitally present as a leader? Where does that passion come from? And at what point did you really see that being a part of your strategy in terms of how you elevate the efforts, the mission, the work of your institutions?
Well, I think it started with the pandemic. So I don't think it initially was a strategy. Initially, I think it was necessity. And as a campus president at Miami-Dade College, we went into shutdown like most of the country in March 15th of 2020, right? And that shutdown meant that you were shut from, you're disconnected basically, in many ways, because you're not present from your students, from your faculty, from your staff. And so I started doing many things on social media in order to reach our students, our faculty, and our staff, keep them informed. I started out by doing a lot of virtual town hall meetings and things like that. But then what kind of evolved out of that was, well, what do I do with some of this information that I want to share more broadly, right, with more of an audience? And that's where the social media component came in. I've been on LinkedIn since 2011, which is a relatively early adopter. I mean, I know there's people before that, but so for 14 years I've been on LinkedIn. I knew that when I came in after about a year of doing things with social media that I needed to adopt, something that was more in line with what students were using on a regular basis. So I adopted Instagram as another platform that I use, and really tried to be as visible as possible, mainly to keep morale high. That really was not necessarily was a strategy, but the necessity to how do I continue to communicate with a broader audience of the community, the college community, be more efficient with that communication, and how do I do that? And so that's how I started doing the social media. And I think I got more and more comfortable as I did it, and then saw it more as a branding strategy. And again, it's a personal branding strategy, but it's also an institutional branding strategy, and it's those two things together. And like you had mentioned before about incorporating personal aspects in my social media posts, I think it's very important. I don't really separate myself on Instagram or on LinkedIn. Some people have Instagram, accounts that are personal and some that are professional. I feel that I look at it holistically, right? I'm one person. I am both. Obviously, I have a professional side and I have a personal side, and I have to make sure that I think it's important to show authenticity by really using both personal and professional stories to share with others in order to make that connection with other individuals. And individuals like yourself and others throughout the country that I know, so many people that I've met through social media over the last decade, and it's been because of this ability, my ability to share these stories and to share my thoughts via these platforms. But it's also very important that it's something that comes kind of naturally, I guess, to me, and so I want to make sure that I'm taking advantage of that, either natural ability or just affinity for doing this type of work. And I think it's really improved the way that I communicate with everyone. And now, wherever I am, where I was in Miami and now I'm here in Milwaukee, people follow me, people are watching, people here on campus know what's going on. And many people in the community are telling me, now they know what's going on at the college. And it's simply by my post, not alone. Obviously, we do have a great marketing team, but I try to emphasize things that are happening here at the campus the campuses, and making sure that our partners out there, whether it be industry or nonprofit organizations, also see us as a viable partner because all the things that we're doing at the college. So I think it just amplifies the message, right? Amplifies what we're trying to get out there. And I'm just using the platforms to do that. Ultimately, it's about trying to make sure that people know how much we're doing and what great things MATC can do for them and what it's done in the past, and continue to do those kinds of things.
Mr. President, you're giving so much of yourself on a regular basis. How are you taking care of yourself? How are you staying grounded? How do you
Yeah.
make sure that Anthony Cruz and his family are good at the end of the day?
It's tough. You know how that is. It is not easy. I really don't believe there's, at least for me, like that work-life balance. But I do take time to share times, with my family. I take time to reflect outside of work. And in the last several years, I've become a big pickleball fan, and that's become my outlet. Actually, it's twofold, right? A great outlet physically, great physical exercise, fun. But in addition to that, it's helped me also create another network of individuals that are also passionate about pickleball, but also passionate about the things that we're doing here at the college and about what's happening in the community here in Milwaukee. So
my pleasure,
it's
Mordecai.
twofold,
Thank
right? You have fun, and at the same time, you're still connecting with other individuals and things like that. And I've played many sports over my lifetime. This one fits me now, given where I am in my life, but it's very fun. And as pickleball becomes more prevalent and more popular, it's just making it easier to find new partners to play pickleball with.
Well, I tell you, to this day, I have never played. Perhaps if we see each other at the Haku conference, we got to go.
We got to go. We will find a court somewhere, and I'll give you some pointers, but it is truly fun. And the difference between pickleball and a lot of other sports, particularly racket sports and things like that, is like tennis is very hard to pick up just all of a sudden, right? It takes years to master tennis and others. Pickleball is one of those that if you play with people at your skill level and you learn, you just advance, and you'll get, as you play more and more, you'll get so much better in a short period of time compared to a lot of others. And I've been saying, I said it in a post the other day, I think that pickleball is the new golf. It takes a lot less time, it's a lot less expensive, and it may be a little bit more convenient for most people, and you can still have that interaction that you have with others in a social setting.
And I think it also, you don't have to worry about having to toss your clubs into the pond. I'm sure you just kind of
That's true.
just put the racket
You can break a
down.
couple paddles. You can break a couple paddles along the way, but you can still get frustrated. I've never broken one, but I sometimes I do want to take it out on the paddle. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah.
All right, my friend, last question for you. Again, the show is called Discovering Your Mission, and I like to ask all of my guests, usually it's my final question with my guests, and that is, please share with us, what is your personal mission statement and the why behind that statement?
Mm-hmm. So this happened before I got the presidency at Miami-Dade College. I was a vice president. I was vice president and vice chancellor, but when I was a vice president at Sinclair College, I really wanted to become. That's when I really said I'm setting out to be a college president, and got some help from an executive coach. Felt like it was time to sit down with somebody, kind of assess where I was, and give me some pointers and things on how to become an executive leader. And the person asked me a very important question, which is the one you just asked me right now, right? It's like, Tony, you have to put together, it's like, what is your why? And I know a lot of people ask that, but she says, you got to be succinct about why you're doing all this. Why do you want to be a president, right? And I got to the point where and she says, it has to be very succinct, very succinct. So I got to the point that I said, you know what? It's about changing lives. That's what I do. That's why I do what I do, is to change lives. And it seems very simple, but it has to be very simple because we do it in so many different ways here at MATC. And, but it's at the same time, it's my passion. It's what I live for, is how do I change lives? And we change lives through education, right? And the services that we provide to our students. People do it in other ways. I mean, obviously there's amazing people out there that do it in all industries and all walks of life. But for me, it's really about changing lives through education. And that's like my mantra, and something that I feel that's my why. And it took, some sessions of discussing this through with this executive coach to get to that point. And I still live by it, 10 years later or so. I still feel that that's what I'm here for. That's why I think that my professional and personal life are so intertwined, is because, changing lives, you're not just changing lives of all the students here at MATC and the community, but, other people. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities that I've had in the last several years to mentor individuals that now are in senior leadership positions across this country. And that's something that I didn't really have that much of when I was going through my journey. So I really feel that changing lives is not just about the educational opportunities here, but it's also about those mentorship opportunities that I'm providing to others and the interactions I have with other people. And sometimes it's not just about mentorship, maybe just friendships that I've established that could change lives. And so that's what my passion is. I love what I do. I love this college. I love the things that are happening here. And I hope to be here for many more years to make sure that I can continue to change lives. And again, I never do it all by myself. I never take credit for that. I think we have an amazing team of leaders, and also an amazing team of faculty and staff that devote their days to making sure that students are successful.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Anthony Cruz, president of Milwaukee Area Technical College. President Cruz, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom shared.
Thank you so much, Mordecai. This is really a wonderful opportunity, and always great to see you, and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. What a powerful and purpose-driven conversation with Dr. Anthony Cruz. From his days navigating college as a first-generation student to now leading one of the most diverse and impactful technical colleges in the Midwest, his story is a testament to what it means to lead with heart, humility, and vision. Now let's reflect on 3 key takeaways from today's episode. Number 1, leadership is a long game rooted in listening. Dr. Cruz shared how years of observing and learning from boards and presidents prepared him for his own presidency. He reminded us that Preparation meets opportunity when you choose to listen before you lead. Number 2, equity plus economic mobility equals true impact. Whether you're reimagining academic programs, increasing student earnings, or launching MATC's 5-year strategic plan, Dr. Cruz is focused on one thing: changing lives. His mission is clear. Education should break cycles of poverty and build pathways to prosperity. Third, last, certainly not least, authenticity amplifies leadership. Dr. Cruz, his digital presence isn't just strategic, it's authentic. By sharing his family, his passions, yes, including even pickleball, and the wins at his college, he's modeling a new kind of leadership, one that connects, inspires, and includes. President Cruz, thank you for your transparency, for your leadership, and your ongoing commitment to students, community, and future leaders across this country. And to those watching and listening, if this episode moved you, inspired you, or challenged you to grow, do me a favor, subscribe, share this conversation with others, and stay connected with me through itsdrmordecai.com for more powerful content just like this. And until next time, keep growing, keep serving, and keep discovering your own mission.